tonight I want to make sure we welcome Zeke. Danielle and I have welcomed Zeke Hopkins to the call. So Zeke is a social media guy. He's really a videographer and marketing major, has his master's degree. I've known him for about 5 months now, and he's just amazing. He's really good at what he does, has a lot of really fancy high-end equipment, and he teaches a lot of cool classes. I've taken a lot of them, and some of the ones he teaches on social media are like, okay, this is the stuff that people need to hear. This is the stuff realtors need to hear. Because how many of you out there in real estate land, if I can see your faces, um, know you should be doing social media at some point or in some way, but don't do it consistently, probably. Yeah, like a lot of us, right? And it's funny. I was literally talking to an agent today, and this is a productive agent. She sold 49 houses last year. So she's a good agent. She's by herself. She's not on a team, literally a traditional agent, no TC even. And she sold 49 houses last year. She's been an agent for about 15 years. I was literally talking to her today, and she said, Rick, I just don't have time to do everything and to learn everything. It sounds like a lot of us, right? She goes, I wish I just had more hours in a day. And that's, the answer to her dilemma is getting a coach and or using AI, because AI can help simplify so many things. We did a presentation recently where I was teaching about knowledge, the four keys for real estate agents. Knowledge is number one, your sales skills would be number two, your systems would be number three, and then taking action would be number four. And that's the one agents struggle with because they swim around in the first three so much, they have a hard time putting the feet to the pavement and taking action. And she was no different. We had a really good conversation today. I said, well, this is how AI can help you. AI can help simplify a lot of things and give you direction on how to do things and where to go. And Danielle, I know you've seen that in running a brokerage and coaching all the agents that you work with as well, is agents are full of great ideas, but what do they then actually do?
Execute on. Yeah, and previously with technology, the only way that technology could help us execute would be if we used it to automate certain processes. And that's what's led to, we always talk about the noise and people tuning things out. And now AI has the ability to help us personalize at scale. This is the first time we've ever been able to do that. And not just personalize like for the end user, but also personalize for your business and then the value you provide to the individual person, which is, very, very strategic. That it does take,
Personalization at scale, right? That's crazy. We've never had personalization at scale until AI.
yeah, never, never, and never had the ability to take everything in our business, in our mind, and in our processes and really weave that into our technology. So even the leverage that we have is personalized to our business before we pull the lever, which is pretty incredible. That's our Satori project, right?
Right.
Is that installation on your business, how you make AI work specifically for your workflows, your SOPs is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we always say this, and it's worth repeating. It's not what you're capable of that matters. It's what you do that matters. So this agent we were talking today, and I was just kind of picking her brain a little bit about, well, what do you do? Like, give me an idea of your typical day. And there's a lot of things that she does that she probably shouldn't be doing. She doesn't understand. And I said, you are basically a practitioner. You're not a business owner because business owners have leverage and business owners use systems, tools, and people to leverage their time. Where practitioners like her do everything, and she's really good. She's got a very high personal capacity. She's a smart person. Obviously, she sells a lot of houses, but she's got a ceiling, and that ceiling is her own personal capacity. Some people's personal capacity is 20 deals a year. Hers is 50 deals a year. I've seen people do 80 deals a year by themselves, literally. But at some point, a practitioner runs out of room. There's nowhere to go. So now you have to learn how to become a business owner and be strategic about it. And it's interesting, Daniel. I was having a talk with my son this weekend. So my son and his girlfriend came to work out with my wife and I. We work out like all the time at the gym. But my son and his girlfriend have been wanting to come and haven't for a long time. They finally came on Sunday, right? They came as we worked out at the gym. And he said, Dad, the only time I can't go during the week because he gets up at 5:30 to go to his school starts at 6:30 in the morning, his college, and then he goes straight from college to work. And then when he's done with work, he gets home about 6, 7 o'clock. He just got home right before this call. So around 7 o'clock in the evening, he's got homework for a couple hours and he goes to bed. He's like, so when am I going to go work out? He goes, I can't. And I said, Alex, you choose not to work out. You could you could get up at 4:30 in the morning. I mean, I just this, I really want to make this point because realtors need to hear this sometimes as well. It's like, well, I don't have time to do all this stuff, right? Yeah, you do. You choose not to. You choose to not get up at 4:30. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying get rid of the victim language here that I can't do this or I can't do that. Because yes, you can. You're making a choice to sleep in a little longer and then go to school, go to work, and come home. And then your only chance to work out's on the weekend. That's fine, but that's your choice. Just own that, right? Danielle, what time do you get up in the morning?
I get up at 4:30 to go to the gym at 5 o'clock because that's the only
Uh,
option. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, we all have a choice of how we spend our time. And this agent, just to wrap this up, and then I want to make sure we get Zeke to talk about some stuff here, but this agent that was like so busy and so frazzled, you know, it's not that there's not enough time in the day. It's that she's choosing to do things that don't necessarily move the needle. Some of the stuff she does move the needle. Obviously, she sold 49 houses last year, but some of the stuff she does doesn't. And she continues to do that, not because she's a victim, but because she chooses to. She hasn't yet learned or decided to leverage yet. Once that happens, things can really change for her. But it's not, I don't want people to say, Rick, I don't have time to learn this stuff, or I don't have time to do this stuff. Yes, you do. You're just choosing to do something else with it. I really want to make that very important distinction. Because Danielle and I, when we coach agents, we deal with that all the time. It's like, what are you spending your time on? And that's what the Satori project is to figure that out and then figure out how can we help you automate some of this stuff.
Yeah, it starts with recognizing, okay, it's where I spend my time, but then the next step is, well, I don't know actually how to look at the tasks or what I do in the day and how to really value those things. Like that does take a deeper understanding kind of and reflecting back on the successes in your business, what's worked, what hasn't worked, which is why we have Project Satori in that installation, because it starts with a really personal reflection of the business, assessment of the business, what's draining you, what's working, what are you paying for, and some of the stuff you're doing currently probably don't need to be done anymore. I just did a class last week actually for some agents who were excited about Project Satori because I walked them through that process of like identifying where their time is spent and all the choices, the micro choices they make throughout the day to allocate those to really low value tasks that probably shouldn't be done by a business owner, right? And
Right?
top producing agents are not doing those things. They work the same 50 hours a week, but they're definitely not doing those tasks in the 50 hours a week. And that's why they're making 3 times the amount of income. So even just that simple assessment of where your business is so that you recognize the choices you're making. Maybe you'll still make the choices, but at least you know that's what's taking place. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. As a business owner, what should you be doing? And unfortunately, in real estate, if you're the owner of your own business, you tend to do everything, at least at first. We do all of it. And then at some point, though, if you want to grow it and scale it, there has to be some delegation. So that brings us to social media. My daughter and I were talking earlier today, Zeke, about social media, and my daughter's 17, and she goes, "Well, Dad, the internet exists, so we might as well use it. And social media already exists, so we might as well use it as a platform." Because some people are like, well, do I really need to be on social media? Well, maybe you don't if your clients aren't on social media. I mean, I coach a rancher who sells ranch properties in Wyoming and eastern Idaho, and his clients aren't on social media, so he doesn't need to be on social media. But that's rare. I think most realtors, most of their clients are probably on social media, and it already exists, so we should probably get better at it. And it's something people struggle with year after year after year. So Zeke, why don't you talk a little about what you want to say with the philosophy you've seen with agents and get into like the bigger overview of why should even agents do social media?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Well, thank you guys again for having me here. I'll just give you a quick background, but I work for a real estate brokerage that Rick is at as well, and we do social media on the brokerage level. So I do help agents, but as for the most part, we're really focused on bringing up the brokerage's social media so that then the agents can bring up their own. Um, and my background comes from going to school and getting my master's in media and marketing, and I work with a lot of local companies and local content creators. So, um, just basically have a commercial production background and have started to make this switch to real estate and social media more. And anyways, from that bigger standpoint, it really is that like agents have a lot of power in the fact that they are their own personal brand. And that's where I really see social media becoming this huge aspect of what sales are going to be in the future, especially when it comes to online marketing, like social media. So a lot of the times, and me and Rick, we've had this conversation that people are going to start buying from personalities. And so using AI and social media to your advantage to become a personality that people can trust and want to buy from when there's thousands of others like you, it becomes a really powerful tool if you can use it right. So that's kind of
It's a
my
differentiator, right? It's a differentiator for yourself. We're
yeah,
always talking
exactly.
about that is how do you differentiate yourself from the throes of other realtors? There's throngs of realtors. There's 10,000 realtors in Ada County. In Portland, Danielle, you probably got 10,000 where you are too. So like, how do you differentiate yourself from the pack? And that's where Zeke's like, oh, social media is a great vehicle for that if you do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we've talked about this, like the statistics on how many people pick just the first realtor they meet. Well, if you can be the first realtor that they see, maybe on social media, then you can take advantage of that statistic.
Almost 90%, right?
Yeah,
NAR stats, almost 90% of people pick the first realtor they talk to.
yeah. And so if yeah, finding that likability measure and being able to become a part of social media in terms of just being consistently on people's page is a huge power that I think a lot of people miss the point on in terms of like, well, how do I take advantage of that power and use these tools correctly and also cut back on time because from what I've learned in my short time in real estate, everybody is busy all the time, and they do not find that they have the ability or bandwidth, which is totally makes sense. And hopefully that's what I can help with. That's what I feel like I help with at the
Yeah.
brokerage is helping other people cut back on their time, and then hopefully Rick can actually get it into their heads a little bit that it's a good thing. But
Good.
yeah,
Let's
anyways,
answer it.
that's
We got
kind
Karen raised her hand, Zeke, real quick. Karen,
yeah.
what is your question? Go ahead, Karen. Want to hear what you had to say?
Oh, sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a question.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Awesome. Yeah. And then yeah, whenever you want me to jump into more stuff, let me know. Or
Yeah,
if
you
you
can
want
share
me.
your screen if you want. If you've got some stuff you want to show us. I know one of the things that Zeke mentioned, this is a few weeks ago when we were talking about social media. They were like, you came up with three keys, Zeke, that I really liked. I wrote those down in my journal. In fact, I have them right here. Things that agents tend to miss because agents tend to try and be really professional on social media. And his three keys, I'll just give you I'll tell them to you now, and then Zeke can go through some of this stuff. But his three keys were be funny, number one, because that's what people want on social media. They want to be entertained. They're going to be gravitating and watch more of your videos if you're entertaining them and you're funny. Number two, talk about stuff that people have opinions on, right? Don't, if you just talk about the 3 bedroom, 2 bath ranch house, it was this listed, like nobody cares. I mean, say something about it that somebody would care about. Say something that somebody would have an opinion about. Like single level homes are so much better than 2 level homes, and here's why. It's like say something that has gonna generate an opinion from somebody. People love to share their opinions, and I love that. And then the third one is, especially if you're in real estate, Zeke, is be local and learn how to talk about local stuff. Because if Zeke went on the back end and looked at the analytics of your posts, a lot of times people are seeing stuff that are in other countries, let alone other states. That's not what we want as realtors. We want local people viewing our content, and the algorithms are very specific how they disperse our content. So we have to get really good at what Zeke's going to teach us here tonight.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah. So I'll go through the slide deck. Some of this may be applicable to you specifically, or it may not. So we'll go through. If anyone has anything that they want to ask about or bring up, just cut me off because I might not see you with my small toolbar. But or Rick, if you see anyone.
Yeah, we'll jump in. Yeah,
Yeah,
you bet.
but anyways, I'll just talk about some of this stuff and then we can get a little deeper into um this. But this was actually just created specifically for our agents so that we could kind of talk to them about some of the things that they can do just to get from zero content ever made, which is 95% of them, to actually making their first post or just to getting to the level of like, I think I have a direction and a purpose into making content. And that's another big thing. There's a lot of people who might have a one-off post, but no, if you don't have a strategy or a purpose behind it, you might end up just making stuff that really doesn't do what you're trying to do. And it just doesn't fit within your niche or your target audience or any of that. So hopefully we can get down to some of that. Um, the first thing that I want to talk about is just that you really don't need as much as you think you do. And this is one of those objections that I've found from real estate agents quite a bit is that they want to look really professional. These two videos that I have on the right side that I just took a screen grab from were both filmed with our broker in our office with almost zero lighting on his iPhone. And they weren't even scripted. That's taken a little bit of time of him getting used to being in front of a camera, but it wasn't like this grandiose video that really showed how professional he was or had the perfect words or anything like that. And just to give you guys an idea, the one on the left here, that one we talked about a smell that comes from a factory in town. And people, there was a post about a realtor who didn't disclose that to their client. And we made a post saying like, do you really need to disclose that, or is that something you can just smell? And it was funny because everybody's like, we can just smell that. You definitely don't need to disclose it.
Yeah,
And
so just real quick, they piggybacked off a Facebook post another realtor put up. Somebody bought a house in Nampa, Idaho, if you know where that is. There's a sugar beet factory, and it stinks. And there's no other way to put it. It stinks. So if you buy a house, and especially when the wind's blowing in the right direction and it's the summer and it's hot outside or whatever, the smell can be really strong. So somebody asked, "Hey, shouldn't the realtor have disclosed this?" And it got this, it got a lot of interaction and engagement on that thread. So Zeke's like, "Hey, this is the kind of thing we should be talking about." So Jeff, the broker there, made a video about this. Hey, should we disclose the sugar beet smell or not? It's like, just something, again, people have opinions on. He's kind of dry, humorous, funny about it. So it's like, this is the kind of stuff that's going to work really well.
yeah, exactly. And then so that one ended up getting 90,000 views. And just so you guys are aware of our population size, the Treasure Valley has about, I think it was 900,000, right? Yeah, about 900.
Wow.
Well, it was about 600,000 before COVID, but now it's
Okay.
900,000. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gone up a
yeah.
lot.
So 900,000, so that's 10% of the population. And we've really actually, by using AI, been like, hey, what is technically viral if we're only hitting Idaho? And 40,000 is about what you would see on like a Idaho Treasure Valley level of being classified as viral. So that's kind of our benchmark of, okay, it was viral because we only focused on Idaho and that's where our target was and all of our views were. And so if we get that, then we definitely have we can call this a success. And then the other one, this one would reach 612,000 views. And that one was just about like, hey, if you're moving to Idaho, don't change the values that have built this place. And that's like a risky thing for a lot of agents to put out there because they don't want to alienate anyone. They don't want to make anyone feel bad. And it's funny because we have a lot of people who probably just moved from California because I highly doubt that all 612,000 of those people are from Idaho natively.
Natives,
And
right?
yeah, and they were commenting on it and like, this is why I moved here is because I want to keep it the same. So having this opinion that might have been, if you bring it up to just any person, might be troublesome or they feel like they could alienate people, actually ended up producing just a more significant like support from everyone, including the people who did move there and would be
And
considered part
Zeke's
of.
really good at this. Zeke, you're really good at coaching Jeff on these videos to not be political and not take a side. So that the comments are the ones that get political. Jeff just puts it out
Yeah.
there. Jeff will just put it out there, and then he doesn't. You don't really know. You can't even tell by the videos which way Jeff's leaning at all. But then the comments, oh boy, people get fierce, and it's really funny. It reminded me of. I think I told you this story, Zeke. When I grew up in Oregon, the sign on I-5 between California and Oregon on the southern Oregon border actually said, because Governor Tom McCall, when I was a kid in the 70s, he was the governor of Oregon, put a sign up. It said, "Welcome to Oregon, a nice place to visit, but don't plan to stay." I don't know if anybody remembers that, but literally that's what it said on the sign. If you're driving from California to Oregon, that's what the sign said. Of course, that sparked a lot of controversy because back in the 70s and 80s, a ton of people moved from California to Oregon. And obviously now that's still happening. Although Idaho is the main destination point now. And that just sparks opinions. And that's what we talked about earlier. If you can talk about stuff that people have opinions about, you're going to get a lot more engagement.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so moving into like why did these work? Like that is the whole point. And I'll just say this right now. I might accidentally repeat it later, but the one biggest thing that people misconstrue about social media is like, well, I need to have likes or I need to even be liked on social media. And actually, the main the main thing that shows if a video will do well is watch time. So if you go into your data on your videos that you post, if people keep watching it for longer, then it will keep getting pushed out to more people. And then behind that are saves, shares, and comments. So you really
Likes don't
want
even
people,
register, right? Likes don't even
yeah.
register at all.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
it's really showing that like okay, well they what these algorithms want to do, and this is to go back to another main point is that I really want to take you guys out of the idea of like okay, well I'm someone who's posting on social media and start thinking about who is your target audience and how do the algorithms want their app to work. And that really starts to frame things a lot better for okay, well what should I be doing as a creator? Um, and yes, the algorithm wants people to engage and they want them to share it with other people so that they get those people back on the apps as much as possible. It's totally like gambling. They want them there as much as possible. They want them engaged as much as possible. So, they care about those shares and those comments and how long you are watching. And if you close out of the app while you're watching the video, that's a huge thing, but there's no real way to track that. So we go based off of watch time. But yeah, these two videos worked simply because we weren't trying to sell, which everybody knows when you're trying to do that on social media. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't watch just a lot of ads on social media because I have the power to skip it. Uh, and they spark curiosity and conversation, and they were just very relatable to our target audience. And as a brokerage, we don't really necessarily get to have as tight of a niche as maybe an agent would, but our target audience is strictly just Idaho. We want to be as Idaho as possible all the time and target Idahoans. And so if you look at these videos analytics, their top 5 cities are all within the Treasure Valley. They're all the people we sell and buy for. And yeah, they only really speak to those people, and you wouldn't necessarily view them if you were out of state, or even the algorithm won't push it to you because unless you're an out-of-stater who is thinking about moving to Idaho or has some connection. So, uh, anyways, that's why these both work. But the whole point here is that you really don't need to have a huge media production team and all of this stuff, and you can really start simply with your iPhone and an opinion and just get going and be beating people within a very short amount of time. So, um, anyways, that we'll just move on here. I don't know if we want to, I can always just share this. What do you think, Rick? Would you?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people on this call probably have an iPhone. I mean, you could go through this for a couple minutes if you want to show people how to set up their phone properly, because your phone's not set up right now, ideally, for taking quality video
Yeah.
for social media.
Yeah, we
So
we can go yeah, we can just go through this really
let's
quickly
just go
just
through it real
so
quick. I think that'd be
yeah,
valuable,
so
Zeke.
yes, just so that you're set up and that you feel ready. I'm assuming most of you have iPhones. If you don't, it will be pretty similar, but this is just like the settings that you guys need just to make sure that you're at least taking good quality video, and then also posting at high quality. So, and this is a big deal, not just because it looks better, but because the algorithm does treat it differently and the way that data is compressed is different. So, anyways, what the main thing you're going to do is go into your iPhone, search for your settings. If you swipe up at the top, you can see that search bar and you can just search for camera. And it should take you to the screen that's on the left here. Um, and then you're just going to match the settings that I have here. So record video 4K at 30 frames per second, record slow-mo. You can do 1080p at 120 frames or 240, either way. And then cinematic 4K at 30. And then that's pretty much all that you need right now, just to make sure that at least your camera is taking at the highest quality that it can be.
And it's
Um,
not set up that way automatically, guys. We've done this. I've sat with
not,
agents, a ton of agents with iPhones that there and open up their settings and they're not on these settings. So if you have an iPhone, this is the settings that you want.
and then if you guys want to, you can also look in formats and formats you want to do the high efficiency, not the most compatible, but not a super big deal. You're not going to lose a lot of detail there. So that's not a super huge deal, but just getting this is already like you're ahead of the game by so many people. And then the other thing that we're going to do is I'm assuming that everybody here has Instagram. And we're just gonna go into Instagram. And if you, I'll do this and follow along just in case I notice anything. But if you guys click on the bottom right of your Instagram, it'll take you to your profile. And then you're just gonna click the three lines at the top right and get to settings and activity. And there should be a search bar at the top. And if you search up just media, it'll pop up with either media quality or media and data usage. And then when you click in there, the only thing you're going to want to do is just copy the settings I have there. So use less cellular data. You can check that off unless you have a limited data plan, which I haven't heard of in years. But unless you have that, and then upload at the highest quality, and you're going to check that one on, and then disable display of HDR media. You can leave that off. That one's not going to make a big difference for you, uh, especially with uploading, but this is just how you upload to the highest quality on your
And that
Instagram.
upload a highest quality one is not normally checked automatically for people.
Yeah,
They have to you have to
yeah,
check it. So that makes
yeah.
a big difference in how your video looks and how the algorithms like it.
Yeah, because they just immediately your the algorithm is gonna go like, oh, okay, well at least these people are putting in some time and effort into this. Like they're going through our settings to make sure that they can be someone who is proficient on here, not just someone who posted because they wanted to post for their friends. So it kind of just immediately tells the algorithm like, hey, listen, this is important, or I am more important. And I'm gonna move on from this, but I'll share this slide deck with Rick, and then I think you guys are recording it as well. So if you need to,
Yep.
you can always go back through and double check these. Um,
Yep.
all right, so this is my funniest slide. It's the only time I'll probably make you laugh a little bit, just because of the screen grab that we have. But these are just some very simple things to remember that I just constantly see being a problem, which is clean off your camera lens every time, literally every time. Like I don't know how it's taken me months to get our broker to do this, but now he is an animal about it. And even today, I was like, I can tell you cleaned your camera lens off. It was nice that you did that. But and then the other thing is to put the grid. So if we were to cut this screen grab that I have into thirds, one, two, three, put yourself in the middle or top third. This is just going to help because Facebook crops it in, so it's going to crop off a little bit of his hair in the bottom. Instagram crops it into a different format. So at least you're in the center and you're where people expect you. So you're just doing something that is already a norm within social media. Um, the next thing is just to add captions. So this was a study done recently that around 75% of videos watched on social media are without the sound on. And this always sounds crazy to people that I talk to because they're like, well, I'm not a part of that 75%. But there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of people who use social media differently. And anyways, adding captions is a great way to bypass this. Also, the algorithm can tell your captions are saying something specific easier. So, like we put Idaho almost always in the first three words or on top of our video or somewhere in there because we just want the algorithm to go like, this video is about that. So if you add those captions, you're going to immediately get that compounding effect. So doing that, add music for the people who do end up turning the sound on. That 75% sounds like 75% of people never watch videos with the sound on, but it's more that they don't watch most videos with the sound on, but they tend to turn it on when they can or when they're interested. Um, excuse me. And so add music for the people who end up turning the sound on. They might actually think that your video is so interesting because you put a caption like Idaho isn't gangster like this guy did, which is like immediately like I just want to know at least what he's talking about. And then they might end up listening and then adding that music will help you again just to be even more similar to what creators are doing. Um, this is another thing is just like even the great visuals do not get the most watches. So a lot of us probably see things, especially realtors, where it's like, oh, well, but this person who promotes my city, state, area, or nature or whatever it is, they have a great following. Well, that following also took a long time to build. And they were very niche in that. So just because you have great visuals doesn't mean you're going to get the same reaction on social media as they do. So constantly realtors are like, well, I just want a really pretty drone shot to start it out. And I'm like, well, that actually might not be the best attention grabbing thing because maybe people don't care about a really pretty drone video of a house, but they do care when it's the Teton Mountains or the Sawtooth Mountains or something like that.
Right.
Um, yeah, anyways, so pick things that
Well,
are
you
important.
told just real quick. You told me that the
Yeah,
other day. It was a story. An agent had a question, Zeke, and they had like a your example was like a 3-2 ranch over by the village, and they
yeah.
spent 60 seconds walking through this very vanilla house, but talking about nobody cares. Like not one person in the world is going to care
Yeah.
about this 3-2 ranch is over by the village. So they spent. So you said, hey, look, spend like 2 seconds showing the front of the house, and then do a drone flyover of the village and all
Yeah.
and talk about the village, which has 37 restaurants and 25 shops, and this is within 5 minutes of this house. That would be a more interesting video than walking through this 3 bedroom 2 bath single level ranch that nobody cares about, right? So agencies have to understand how to make their listings interesting. It may not be the listing, it might be where it is, it might be the park, it might be the dog park, it might be the hiking trail, it might be the coffee shop. Something would be interesting about it, but that's what you should spend your time on, not walking through this house that nobody cares about.
Yeah, and even yeah, to just further that point, one video that's done really well in our area was a girl showing a house, and she showed it, like we said, for 2 seconds, and then she walked around an area that was probably 15 blocks away, but it was close enough away, and then everybody was commenting about like, oh, I do love that area, which then got her to get more eyes on that listing, which is just to show that like not maybe not everything is about the house or them actually seeing what they could buy because your social media is just going to be like so top of funnel that you're really not trying to sell them right now. You're not trying to sell them on like you're going to watch this video and then put in an offer unseen. Like that's not what we're
Right.
trying to do here. We're trying to get people to engage, get their eyes on this, and then when they're ready, they will click your profile and go to your links or use you or comment or DM you about how they're interested in things in that area or things that you've shown. And
That's a
so, yeah,
great point. Is that that's you're building. So Seth Godin's book, Tribal Leadership, you're building a tribe. Think of social media not as selling. This is where people mess it up all the time. They try to sell on social media. And how many of you, just like Zeke said, we're all sick of being sold on social media. We don't watch those videos. We don't engage with those posts. So build a tribe. Talk about stuff that a certain kind of person would be interested in. An area, a part of town, like build your tribe. And then once you have your tribe of following built, then you can make sales to those people because you can direct ads to them. You can create a blog that's going to hit them. You can DM them directly. It's like there's a lot of ways to sell to people, but the videos themselves are just to try and build your audience, not to sell them.
yeah, exactly. And like, let's say that you are a luxury agent. Well, okay, maybe that's a little bit different. Maybe you should strictly focus on showing dream homes because it's all you sell. But if you're an agent who sells a 5 bed one day that's a gorgeous mansion that it's got like a huge acreage and it's in the perfect location, but then the next day you're selling a $300,000 home, like there's no you're not you might want to stay away from being like all I do is show these homes because people do watch social media for dream homes, but I'd even argue that when you do that, when you go, I'm a luxury agent and I'm going to show really cool houses, that you're probably still going to be reaching outside of your target audience because the people who do go to look at dream homes are people who are not necessarily always buying dream homes. They might already live in their dream home. If it's really a passion of theirs, they might not be looking for that. And they might not even be in your state because you're hitting a part of the algorithm, which is dream luxury homes, not necessarily my city, state, zip code, whatever. So that just kind of goes back to
Yeah.
why this mentality is works in terms of the marketing perspective. The other last thing is just like if you don't have a hook that's strong enough when you record the video because maybe you forgot to make a great hook or whatever it is, then just put something at the top. And it might not even need to be completely true because you prove it wrong in the video. Like for the sugar beet one, we could have put something like Nampa smells awful. And just like if we like you could have put
Right.
something like that. And then we could have said like, all right, it really doesn't smell that awful, but what we do think is that do you really need to tell your client that it smells like the sugar beet factory? And so, anyways, just keeping all of this in mind, these are just things that it's like you just got to do all of them as much as possible. It's okay if you forget one here and there or whatever, but you got to try to do all of them just so that you can try to beat and compete with these people who are already doing these things, and it's like second nature for them. And I'll say, I think Rick can attest to this, that like our broker, he's very engaged in this, and he really, it's like a lot of these things are just second nature to him now. And that's after a very short period of time of being engaged in it. So, it's not as difficult as you think, but it just doesn't seem like something that is on the forefront of people's minds or that anyone's even told them. So, you kind of gotta focus on it. Okay, so this just goes back to like not confusing the algorithm. We strictly use hashtags that are about Idaho. We don't really do anything that branches off from this because why necessarily would we? Because a lot of niches can be national. Like if you're want to be the cowboy Idaho that sells to ranchers and farmers and you hashtag everything cowboy, you might hit people in Montana who are cowboys. So we really just try to focus on like hashtag it Idaho, add your location where it is in Idaho, connect your Facebook. The connection thing is really about just connecting your Facebook to make it easier for you to post. And then the other thing is like if you are using this local mindset, I'm just gonna put this here. If you're using this local mindset, um, then you want to be able to tag other accounts that might relate. So we have a lot of agents who use, they try to be funny on social media, but they do it with a different type of funny than we're doing. But like there's a page out there that is created for real estate agents that's called Funny Real Estate Humor, and it's got 500,000 followers or something like that. So tag that page in the post that you do, hoping that maybe that will lead some of their people to your page because the algorithm sees a connection there. Or like if it's with a builder, get them to do it. And so because you're almost guaranteeing that like, okay, we're gonna at least leak some of your people into our page somehow. Um, and like, yeah, if you mention a local business, which that might be the thing that is important about that house, tag that local business, share it with them, tell them, hey, like maybe reach out, anything like that. So this is really just about the fact that like we don't want to confuse the algorithm, and especially when it comes to this, like people don't know the hashtags that they follow. So I follow a lot of stuff that talks about camera gear and marketing or things like that. I actually don't know which hashtags are hitting my page and that my algorithm has sorted me into because I just watch. I don't really study what hashtags they're using specifically because we don't make that content. But I do know that people who are in real estate tend to follow realtor hashtags. So like hashtag realtor doesn't go to a client. That goes to someone who is in real estate and watches other real
Right.
estate videos because they use it for inspiration. So like, why would you use hashtag realtor when nobody who is a client follows that hashtag unless they're like married to a realtor? I don't know, but then they're not going to use you. So why would you?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of, and I've seen this constantly. I was so confused why these videos that people were sending us from our agency were doing so well on social media. And then I was like, okay, well, let's think about this. And really, it's because so many people are watching social media to be like, hey, I want to do this, but for our business. And that's probably why that video is doing well, is because there's so many realtors in the world or just in the US, and they're all watching those same videos and they're acting like that's getting them leads or could get them leads. And it's like, well, it's not because the only people it's going to is your competition. So,
Right.
yeah. Anyways, that is why we just use local, 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 wherever you sell, put it in your hashtags, put it in your location. So, um, anyways, does anybody have any questions up till now or anything that they'd like to bring up? Just because I feel like I talk too much sometimes, so.
This is good stuff. I just want to make sure, and I want to take questions certainly from people, but just make sure one of the things Zeke is talking about is it's like a direction for your channel. It's not just a niche. A niche is one thing, but a direction, like local, is really important. He keeps saying that because we're in real estate. We sell real estate in our communities, in our cities, not all over the country. So if you're posting social media stuff about snow skiing or fly fishing or other interests that you have, that's not helping your algorithm at all when it comes to attracting clients, potential clients. They're going to buy real estate where you live. So you really need to make sure you're trying to keep your channel focused on a smaller geographic area and tagging and mentioning local stuff. But the hashtags is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
Well, Zeke, I have a couple questions for you as well too.
Yeah.
Earlier on in the call, you briefly mentioned consistency. So I presume consistency is key on some level. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts and your direction and guidance on that. And then
Yeah.
also, when it comes to social media, you hear a lot of, kind of a balance between entertainment and education, or what is it? ed, uh, well, there's some word,
Edutainment.
some word where you move those together. So I'm curious, like you've touched on the vibe, right, to get people to stop scrolling. So that's the education factor. But then, how much emphasis should we put on the education, the value once they stop scrolling? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I do have I mean, first of all, the consistency thing. The biggest thing that you could probably take away is that you need to just post. It doesn't whatever it is, just start and ramp it up as you can. I would say that that is my best suggestion to anyone. There's a lot of people who put out these rules about like, oh, like Alex Hormozy, I love him. He does do a great thing, but he's like a mogul, a social media mogul. Like everybody knows him. And so, yeah, he posts 7,000 pieces of content a month, but you may not necessarily need to. And so that's kind of the thing is, and there's some people who say this, and the reason they're saying it is because they know that other people watch those videos where they say, hey, this is the consistency you should be on. And so they know that it's going to hit their target audience, which is content creators or people who are interested in content. And so then they say these things when it really might not have as much of a scientific breakdown in gaining you views overall or gaining whatever you are looking for as your purpose for social media. So I hope that answers that, even though it's not the best answer.
So
But
Stephanie just said on that, Zeke, Stephanie said, is what's considered consistent? Is it 2 to 3 times a week? Is that
yeah,
consistent?
I mean, I would say that if you're gonna focus on being a creator and this is like an avenue you really want to pursue, I would say 2 to 12 times or like 3 to 12 times a week is like a good just stay within that margin. It's okay if you go on vacation, but we post sometimes 6 times a day, sometimes we post once a day. But I would say that in general you really like Instagram pushes out to your followers first, unlike TikTok. So if you're overloading your Instagram followers with like content that they don't actually like, and you just start posting for some reason. And there's actually a local business owner that I talked to in Boise who did this, and he's seeing zero traction. His videos still only have like 2 likes on them and 100 views. And it's because he's just posting to post. And that's not necessarily what we want to do. So consistency can be a killer of growth, just as it is a very strategic way to grow. And so the best method for doing this is post things that you think are good and use the people around you, like your family, and be like, would you watch this? And ask them before you post it. And then once you do post it, if you start seeing traction on one thing, double down and go, okay, that one hit a benchmark that I haven't hit yet. I'm going to take that exact same format and now I'm going to make 2 of them tomorrow instead. And then that's a good way to kind of understand what the consistency is and how you should build it from being like, I'm not really posting that much. I'm testing the waters. I'm not trying to push people away on social media by being just overload, post, post, post. And then I think that that kind of is the better guide towards it than picking a number and sticking with that number.
So maybe the consistency starts with it being a part now of your standard operating procedure, your workflow, where you think consistently to ask yourself, is there something in here that I
Yeah.
could, engage my audience with that would be somewhat entertaining and also provide value? If not, move on. But if you're consistently asking yourself of that, more than likely it's going to lead to some type of consistency in your posting.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, even we make videos that we don't post because we decide, like, I don't want to actually put this out. This is a terrible example, but this morning we were driving to a different branch and we saw someone hit the one sign that's on the side of the road and they knocked it out of the road and we put a funny sound to it. And then we were like, maybe we probably shouldn't post that actually. Nobody got injured. The car wasn't even hurt, but but at least we did it to then think about it and go, okay, well, should I really post that or not? And so that's kind of the thing is like, well, if you're at a house and you're waiting for a client, why don't you try to make a video? And then if you hate it, you don't have to post it, but and you're the only one who knows that you made it. So there's
Right.
no worry about that. Yeah. Yeah, I would think that, yeah, just getting in the habit of doing it. And then, sorry, just to refresh my mind on what your second question was, because I gave you a long-winded answer.
Yeah,
Education
no,
versus
just kind of the
entertainment, right?
balance. Yeah, the edutainment. Edutainment is the
Yes.
term, right? The balance
Yeah.
between value and education and an entertaining factor.
Yes, yeah. So I mean this is a complicated thing, but if you're thinking about there is a lot of education online and it's great, but not everybody can do that. Not every agent should be doing that. Not every business should be doing that. It might not be the thing that pulls you towards using them. I would say that there is some value to it. So, but it depends on what your purpose is. Like our social media for a long time was strictly let's get awareness to our brand name because that's all we want to do. We're very top of funnel with our social media. We don't actually need leads because we're a lead focused brokerage. And so what we really want to do is make sure that we're just getting our name out there in Idaho. People recognize it. And then maybe there's this psychological effect when they look up Boise Realtors and they see us on that second one down, that they click on that instead of the other one. Now that's our pretty high level like marketing strategy that I can't actually give you any data on that works. But what I can say is that if you are doing something that is really relevant to people and then you do a video where they recognize you and give you the extra 2 seconds to hear you out and you make a post that's more educational, let's say 10% of the time, and then you do something like what we do, which is boost that post to go towards your website, you're going to see a much higher traction value than just trying to constantly post education. So the entertainment versus and you don't have to be entertaining necessarily. In terms of like, you don't have to be the funniest person ever, but you can add value. And I think those two words are sort of synonymous in terms of social media. It's like value and entertainment. There's somewhat you can do both. And so maybe you
As long as
don't.
it's interesting, right? Be interesting. And
Yeah,
that's where that rule
exactly.
of talk about stuff people have opinions on. That's what people are interested in. They want to
Yeah.
share their opinions. People love to share their opinions.
Yeah. And like yeah, for instance, we've made posts where it's a photo of Idaho and it just asks a question in text on the screen. And some of those posts have gone to like 100 and something thousand views of just people commenting, oh, this is the thing that I would do in Idaho or whatever it is. So, yeah, the education, I would say that my sort of rule of thumb with social media or just any sort of marketing tactics are like keep 70% of it once you start, the thing that you know is working. The thing that you know is at least getting you the views. And then take 20% of it, and that's the stuff that, you've maybe messed around with or tried or you want to try and you want to be educational or you want to try to get leads through that or you want them to DM you. But don't overwhelm your audience with it. And then 10% of it, I would say throw the entire rule book out the window and try something that has nothing to do with anything. Like we have done some stuff where it's just such an outlandish idea, but then it sticks around because we get people commenting like, "Hey, we want to keep seeing more of this." And then we've done some where I'm like, maybe we should just take that off our page. But it's a good kind of rule that I have, and I've that's one of the things that I've taken from bigger creators is having that 70-20-10 rule. So yeah, and that 20% use it for those educational things. But if it doesn't work, don't keep that same strategy in the 20%. Like there are too many ads going on, too many people who are saying similar things that you might see something that worked, but it might not be working anymore because so many people have already seen that. So yeah, just kind of keep it fresh and try to keep pushing with that 20%. So, anyways,
Yeah. Do you have any other slides, Zeke?
I think so, but you know, I feel like at this point we've kind of hit on a lot of the stuff that these last two were about, which were more about let's talk about the actual like why are we doing this, reframing your
Mm.
mindset in terms of like why does this work? The biggest thing that I would say that we haven't really hit on is, or we've hit on it, but I just want to say it very plainly, is like asking yourself why you go on social media. Some of you may watch real estate content, but that's strictly because you're in the field. And the mass majority of people are not watching real estate content on their pages unless they are in the field or somewhat adjacent to the field. And those people tend to have realtors already, or a close family friend or whatever it is. So ask
Hmm.
yourself, why does somebody actually get on social media? And really what it is to escape the fact that they're in their life. And so they want you to do something on there that draws them into something else. So, being able to, like we've said, have opinions or have something that is going to spark curiosity or whatever it is, that is really gonna and thinking about, well, why would someone who's sitting on their couch and just waiting for dinner to be ready or they're waiting for their Uber Eats to arrive. Like, why would that person stop and watch this when there's so much content out there? And that's going to really like reframe you out of the real estate mindset of social media and into like the how do I actually reach consumers? So, yeah.
Cool. Well, and a lot of this, Zeke, I mean, I've talked about using Canvas and Hoozy to help. I've got
Yeah.
several really cool social media boards that I've put together with help on content. Like, what do I post? I don't know what any interesting topics are, or help me come up with something. Or how would you use Canvas, and how would you suggest, Zeke, that people on this call tonight, if they don't know what to post about, they don't know what their niche is, what would they do? How would they use Canvas? How do you use it?
Yeah. Let me actually, so you guys can still see my screen, hopefully here,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. So, I mean, I've only had this for about a week, but I've used it in a way where it's like not necessarily a full social media marketing mindset towards using it. And I just wanted to show you guys a couple quick things. So, first of all, creating that persona, like I do love this. This is a great way for people to kind of build something that is going to help them. And the biggest thing with this is that you can then tell it, hey, listen, I want to avoid what other realtors are doing, which is using social media to talk to other realtors. And being able to tell that persona that and then lead into all of your chats is really going to change the quality of these answers that you're getting, and why, and just helping it understand your why and what type of content you're trying to make. So anyways, that's one thing that I'm like, I would use this on almost everything is that persona of a real estate social media strategist and tell it, hey, listen, I'm focused on being local. I want my target audience to not be any realtors. I want it to be people who live in my city, state, or zip code. And I want them to know that like am trying to do something that is about Idaho or whatever place you're at and not for realtors. And then that is going to create a lot of other stuff that is very interesting. So like one thing was I saw a video that you basically it was I just took this video's script and I used the voice thing and I just put this script into here. And then I was like, hey, listen, this was an interesting video. It was about weird laws in Idaho. And then I had it make me 10 more videos based off of that. And then I can use another AI software, which is Pictori, to actually take these scripts and put it in. So within, I don't know, 20 minutes, I was able to basically create 10 videos that are super focused local. They're interesting. They spark curiosity because a lot of people don't know about these. They're crazy, weird things that are like the fact that you couldn't give someone a less than 50 pounds of chocolate in the
On Valentine's
1920s.
Day. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
law in Idaho. A husband
Yeah.
cannot give his wife less than 50 pounds of chocolate.
Yeah.
That's a real law in Idaho.
Yeah, and so like these things are like the Sunday merry-go-round band like that. It just so being able to do this was great. And the best thing about this is I use the a secondary part of this, but this script right here, you could say it into the camera and get a similar, better, worse reaction, who knows until you post it from your audience by just saying something that is interesting like this. So this whole script doesn't have to go into Pictory. It could just be on your phone and you could be like, listen to this crazy thing that I heard about today in Idaho. Um, anyways, that's one way that I used it. I really like that. We have a This is Idaho project that we do, so I'm gonna kill that music. Hopefully you can't hear that. But the well, basically it just shows things from Idaho and is like a hey, this is Idaho. So we put like that's the Sawtooth Mountain Range, people camping, the local sports teams. This is a music festival that happens in Boise. This is a really famous waterfall, someone rubbing a horse, like whitewater rafting. This was from our trunk or treat. But I actually had the chat address or analyze this, and then give me like I was like, hey, I actually want to know what you think. Is this the best that we could do with this video, or could it do better? Because and it told us like, hey, here's what is working, and here's what's not working. And it was like no recognizable landmarks. Like we had like maybe one in there. And so maybe immediately I'm gonna go like, okay, well, I'll move the waterfall to the front because everybody knows where that waterfall is. Just so that they immediately know, hey, this is an Idaho post. And that's the biggest thing is getting people interested right away. And then yeah, it's like lifestyle moments or the seasonal variety or missing activity shots. Like we showed the whitewater rafting, but we didn't show anybody actually rafting on there. And there's a lot of people who are interested in that in Boise. So I actually thought that this was great because I was able to upload this video, and then just have it analyze it and say, hey, listen, like this one performed, but it didn't perform as much as I thought it did. Can you give me some advice on this? And for real estate agents, that's huge because they do need to understand like, okay, um, you're maybe not the best person to analyze your own content. So huge recommendation for
Yeah.
using this.
Have Who's he do it?
Yeah, exactly. Have Who's do it. I also ended I used Claude for a lot of this stuff.
I like
Um,
Claude by far the best. It's my favorite.
yeah. Just gets you out of that real estate mindset a little bit. Like that just really works for me in terms of having it think about things in a broader scope. But then I had it actually, I said, you know what? Okay, that's great. I want to use VO3 to now create some of these shots, and this is something that agents could do. And I was like, give me some examples of photos that I could use to then turn into short 6-second clips and remake this post over and over again. It's a little bit more time intensive than the other stuff, but this might be something that you actually really want on your page. And I actually don't know why, but I'm not seeing all of the stuff that it had in here.
Came up with.
Oh, I might have ended up, let me just double check here. Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing all of the things that I saw. But I ended up having it make me like 10 to 15 photos. And then I ended up having it make me just some of these videos. So like things that I could use. And then the nice thing is that for this is Idaho post is I can post each of these individual clips with maybe a question over the top or an opinion. And then I can reuse them in the longer edit. So then it's like, okay, well, I'm not just getting one video, I'm getting 11 out of these 10 videos that I'm about to create. And to an agent, that's like some of them spend $7,000 on 10 videos and with a lot less reach. So just being able to do that is nice. I mean, this one I would have liked to work with a little bit more to make it, maybe more interesting or like put potatoes in there because we're huge on that. But just a little things and then other stuff that they shoot throughout the week or whatever they can use. So um these are just some of the things. And then I also did end up having it do like three. I'll do this, just tell you really quickly about this one. So I ended up having this like I wanted to do different approaches to media and marketing with the different models or prompting. And so using that real estate strategist persona, I asked it, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent who's wanting to start marketing myself on social media. I have no clue where to start or what I should be doing. Can you help me figure out what I should be posting, how much, and how I can spend as little time as possible on this?" Because this is exactly what I hear from our agents constantly, but they don't say it in such a cohesive way. But this is very interesting because Huzi gave me a very like, this is what other agents are doing, which is the educator, be educational, be sort of a local expert in property spotlights. And then I ended up trying it with Claude, and it gave me a similar thing, but it gave me better questions of like, well, what's your target market? Who do you primarily sell to? What geographical focus do you have? Do you have any activity? What's your comfort level? Do you want to talk on camera? Do you not? What pages do you have? Which was great. I was like, this is the type of engagement that I want from it. And then it gave me, here's your pillars. But it still did something similar to what every other real estate agent is doing because all of these things are referencing what other real estate agents are plugging into ChatGPT that they're doing or whatever it is, whatever AI or whatever social media or blog posts that it can analyze. And then it's telling you, hey, these are the things I would suggest. And then I basically asked it, and this is the last one, to do this, but for my mindset towards things, which is that I wanted it to I wanted it to not be noticed by other realtors. I wanted it to be within the state and within my niche, which is a middle-aged native Idahoan who spends most of their time outdoors with their family and kids, local fun events, Boise specific. I need followers, views, to eventually become leads and to boost our posts or run ads, but don't want to spend a lot of money on this. And then it gave me a lot of good stuff, which is like, okay, 50% of your post should be Boise lifestyle content. So it's kind of close to our 70-20-10 rule. Hyperlocal real estate insights at 30% of your posts. So doing those quick things of like three Boise neighborhoods, perfect for outdoor lovers. But that right there is so much better than what you might have got, which is, hey, these are just my three favorite neighborhoods as a real estate agent. It's like, no, for outdoor lovers. That's the specifics. And then personal behind the scenes. Everybody does this. I wouldn't necessarily say it's super important, but that's my favorite thing about AI is that I get to disagree with it, and I might be wrong sometimes. So let's and yeah, it gave me ways to spend minimal time on it. I can share this with Rick as well if you guys want to analyze it. But yeah, I'll stop
And
talking
we could
now.
do that on the next call too,
Yeah.
Danielle. I've got some cool boards. Like Zeke has some awesome boards like this built. I've built some on social media that were really cool that we didn't get to tonight. But if people want to, let us know and we can continue this topic because I think it's important. And some of the insights Zeke has are different and simpler and like, oh yeah, why am I not doing that than I've heard from other people before.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, that's my spiel. This is kind of how I've used Hoozy. I really do
Yeah.
like it for this. So yeah, hopefully I didn't bore everyone to death.
Yeah. No, love it. Very good info
Extremely
from
valuable.
Stephanie.
Awesome.
What do you want to say, Danielle, to wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for all your expert guidance. And I love seeing too that you're in there using Canvas. That's really good, I think, feedback and also direction on how you can take that as a stepping stone and your first step before you go and leverage maybe another AI platform also to help with the execution or something really specific
Yeah.
on the technical standpoint. So love this. And thanks so much for all your insight and your guidance. I think our audience found this really helpful. And I personally am going to go back and listen to this recording later because you just had so many good directions and things to take into consideration as far as how the algorithm works. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
thanks, Zeke. We
course.
appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's fun talking to you, and I'm always happy to chat. So don't feel free to reach out. Yeah,
Yeah, love it. Well,
awesome.
thanks everybody for being on the call tonight. Have a great March. We're off last month of the first quarter here, so make sure you guys are doing good things. And this might be a really good focus for you for the month is to really get your social media in line and have a specific push, a specific direction for your content. I think that would be really good for everybody.